I'm free with the duck and an eagle shooting the breeze. From paintball fields to campfire fun, you know the rowdy talk's just begun. Now kick up your feet and pour a glass. We're about to have a blast. We're the rowdy ones. We're the rowdy ones. The rowdy ones.
What up, what up?
What's going on, brother? It's always fun to have an episode with just you. You know, I am excited about some of the guests we have coming up over the next couple weeks. I think people will be really excited. You know, a couple from varying generations, we'll say that, but
Yes.
successful in their own right. So we'll keep that. We'll keep that as a surprise, but I think it'll be a welcome surprise to people. And I do also, like, if people, you know, ever have recommendations on something you'd like to hear us talk about, or any guests you'd like us to have on, leave that in the comments on our YouTube page or Spotify. And you know, we're pretty accommodating, or try to be, you know, depending on our mood.
No, 100%. Hop in the Discord. Tell us what you want to hear. We have a podcast forum, whatever. Let it message us on YouTube. Comment on a post, reel.
John, you're dying to say it. Ask them to like and subscribe, pal.
Yeah, baby.
I gave him permission.
If you don't,
I gave him permission.
So here's the deal. It means a lot to Ryan and I every time we see someone follow on Instagram or subscribe. If you enjoy anything we do, it means a lot to us. We put a lot of time and effort into this. So yeah, go follow us on Instagram. Go subscribe on YouTube or Spotify, and it just means the world. It makes my day when I see someone else just follow, and I'm like, yes, you know, it just pumps me up.
Yeah, and you know, we started out with a podcast a little over a year ago. I think we eventually want to make it into a brand, have some cool merch coming out, stuff like that. So just a slow process. But speaking of that, like, I definitely want to give a shout out to Ronnie Dizon Docs and DV8. You know, Ronnie and Jamin put together a pretty cool collab. You know, Ronnie's got his gang hands always, and he has his really cool couple of woven straps that are coming out, some earpieces. You know, they're the rubbery ones, super high quality. I'm old school. I'm a fan of the foam ones. You know, they hate it when they have to make them for me, but I say bring back the foam. Everyone should be in the foam. They're lighter, you can hear better, they look cool. But that's a side tangent. And then obviously the plugs. Anything DV8 has, I think Ronnie's pretty much making a collab with them. So on top of that, like, wish he could have came on tonight, but I just think it's, you know, I always appreciate how much time and effort he puts into his like YouTube series. And on top of that, like, how much he's progressed over the last bunch of years. So he's had, you know, he doesn't do it as regularly now because he wants to make sure that they're all quality. I'm not saying he didn't before, but so, like, you know, he hadn't put anything out in like a month, and now in the last 2 days or a couple days, he's had 2 different episodes out, both really good. So the older I get, the more I appreciate knowing that I can look back and watch those and relive some of those times. In the moment, I do not love things getting filmed. I would much rather live and things be forgotten and things be remembered, flawed, and just, you know, you're remembering the essence of it. But there is something to say about looking back and having a time capsule. You know, I've traveled around the world, been lucky to, and I've lost a lot of those pictures. I still have quite a few, but I lost way more than I have. And their trips and times and, you know, ingots of stories that are kind of lost to time, because sometimes you need that picture to bring up a memory. And I do regret not, you know, having all that backed up at times. Granted, I think looking back, some of them would be pretty poor quality. You know, we were taking a lot of pictures on like 1 megapixel Canons and stuff that we were carrying around. But even that's cool. I mean, I like looking back at pictures when I was growing up, and that those were grainy and film, and it's just it's a time capsule of the time that you're in, seeing what you're seeing. So it doesn't always have to be the clearest to want to keep it. It doesn't have to be perfectly framed. It just has to be able to pull, you know, memory and emotion out of you, and that's what's cool about that. So I guess I, you know, was talking about Ronnie's stuff, and I found it interesting. I just found out last tournament that Mishka has never actually watched a minute of it. He said he's saving it all until he retires, and he wants to
And a
watch it
bitch.
and just like binge a lot of it, watch it with his kids, which I think that's pretty cool because it's
That's
like
cool.
he'll see it from beginning to end, like over a decade of growth as a person and as a player, and teams and teammates coming in and out, wins and losses, and he's gonna get to watch all that at one time. And honestly, I'll probably, years down the road, look back at 50, 60 years old, like it'll be cool to show my daughter some of it, and some of it some of it she probably has to wait till she's a little older. But yeah, good times are had by all, but always want to throw out our respect and mutual admiration of other creators. I think Ronnie does a great job. I love listening to a lot of other paintball podcasts. I listen to a lot of podcasts in general. They kill a lot of time, and I think that's very relevant right now because this is our downtime of the year. This is a bigger than we have from World Cup to the first event. So you think downtime means downtime, but we have other jobs, other lives, things to catch up on, things to jam in. And I know you've been busy with renos and traveling. I've been renoing, my deck, and it's just trying to spend as much family time as possible, all while putting, 100% energy into active recovery. It's been brutal for me seeing like our group chat and seeing pictures of everyone playing and sunny days on grass fields and having a good time. But I'm getting there. It's day by day. I've always been stubborn, so I want things to be like I start feeling a little good, and I want it to be just like a light switch. But recovery's never like that, and it's you got to remind yourself of that to not push it too hard or too fast. I think ahead of schedule. In 2 weeks, I'm going to test it out at the ICC. I probably won't play a front spot just to be tentative and careful, make sure I don't do anything too bad, still have enough time to fully recover it. But like right now, I'm in such a better spot than I was. Like there was a while there where it's like every step I took, I was thinking about, I was holding it and stabilizing it to turn over in bed or get out of the car. It's pretty bad. A little slip would like put me to the ground. But now, I don't think about it 99% of the day, and that's a good first step. Now walking and I'll see a curb and I want to hop off of it or jump over a fence, and like just knowing that my mind's getting there, I know my body's following. So it is close. Like I said, like I got a lot of range of motion. I can jog now. That's great. I do know how to tense that particular muscle to where I can still feel it. Well, where I can still feel it. It's like, okay, that's still there right there. That's about the limit. That's how much that muscle can force right now before it starts hurting, basically. I know I can't like cut explosively or things like that yet, but I mean, the amount of recovery I've made in the last 2 weeks really been pretty exponential. So I think 2 more weeks from now, I'll be able to test it a little bit. And then, the tournament's still another month out. So it's downtime, but we have, I think 3-4 practices lined up. It's going to be grind time never stops, but it is going to be officially team together grind time soon. So pumped about that. I've been itching to be on the field with the boys and getting back to the winning ways. So
hell yeah. Well, glad you're getting back there. That's like mentally, it's crazy the amount of pain you can actually be in if you're mentally sound and strong with it. What that does is like it creates a whole different atmosphere, which, if you've never been seriously injured, man, it's the longest recovery. I've seen people get in bad recoveries and then they get in it about a bad way. What I'm going to say might ruffle feathers. I've seen a lot of people have cancer, right? And I'll relate to that. The people that accept it, go forth and conquer, and they're like, I'm going to make it through this. They usually have a good outlook on it.
Yeah, I wouldn't say
But
there's this hard and fast rule to cancer. But what I will say is like your percentages go up by having that positive outlook towards it. Yeah.
yes,
But it's not like
yes,
having the positive outlook is a cure,
gonna heal you.
and having
No,
a negative is you know,
if you're,
a for sure sign least to that
but
either.
it's
But
the no, for sure. But if you bring in if you bring in negativity, your body just feeds it. And if you bring in positivity, it's like kind of what I wanted to talk about a little bit tonight. I've been remodeling now for, I don't even know how long, months. And it was like with the bathtub. I'm like, this sucks. All this plumbing sucks. Everything's going wrong. It's 24 working hours till we got it finished. But then I also realized afterwards, and it's like all the painting, the cabinets, everything that I've done, embracing the suck is it's an amazing thing. And like when you embrace the suck and you find the positives, there's always positives, and no matter how bad anything is in life.
And sometimes like the suck isn't even suck, like you look at that and is it hard work? Yes. Is it annoying? Is it time consuming? Yes. But then there's like you said, the benefits, like you're getting to spend time with a friend who's taking time out of their day to help you do something, right?
Yeah.
You're getting to share moments and talk. You're learning the entire time. To me, life is about optimizing, and not in the corny way that like influencers might say, but like you're talking about cancer, optimize your chances of beating it, right? You talk about recovery, you optimize your opportunity for that. And then time is the biggest thing to optimize, because you want to make it good quality time, whatever you're doing, enjoy what you're doing. Time is one thing that we cannot get more of. And I think it's the one thing people regret, is not using their time differently in some aspects, or thinking they've waited too long to do something, or regretting missed opportunities. But really just live in the moment and understand that like when something annoying is happening, it could be a lot worse. And one thing that can guarantee make it worse is you dwelling on how bad it is. Because if you have a positive outlook on things, and I know it sounds corny, but you see it just eat away at people when they're negative about something. And we talked about this before on the podcast and stuff. It's just how, turning one nuisance into a big deal just snowballs and makes everything feel like it's awful, when it's really not that bad. It's just life,
Yeah.
We're not living in a cave. We're not starving. We're not getting rained on, and some people are, and, and I've talked to a lot of homeless people too. And some of them have had, great outlooks on life, believe it or not, I've also talked to a lot that, look like they wanted to stab me or throw poop at me. But, other ones are, sat down. I played cards with this dude once. Like, I was waiting to get my tires changed in Pittsburgh, and just walking down this like bar district that we used to go to. Pretty renowned at the time. It was, I think, like it had a record for like either most bars on like one street in like so many miles, or most consecutive bars in a row. One of those two for like a record in the world. And like that was like our stomping grounds when we were, young and dumb. And but back then it was a little different. I think it's gotten a little more violent, a little dirtier, places have closed down. But back then, like the worst you were seeing is, some college kids getting in fights. And that's not so bad. But I was walking down there daytime, always, those nighttime areas that are only meant for night, when you see them bright, kind of, it's gross. But I was walking down there, and this dude was just like, said something to me, and I just like turned around and like started a conversation with him. And it's like he wasn't trying to get anything off me, but like just taking time out, having conversation. Ended up playing like a card game with him, because I was just killing time. I was like, whatever. Like, I was just walking down the street.
Probably made his night.
I was like, I'll play this. He taught me how to play like a card game I didn't know either. I don't remember if it was like spades or backgammon or something. I don't remember now to this day.
Backgammon's a board game, so
not
spades,
backgammon.
Yeah, spades is a board player.
I don't know what it was then. I'm just shooting
something. It was some card game. Yeah.
It was a card game, and there was only two of us playing. But like, I don't know. he could have been teaching me bum rolls. Maybe maybe they weren't
House
official.
rules, baby.
Yeah,
House
but
rules.
we were having a good time. I played a couple of games with him, and like makes you realize, like, man, if he can be having a good time in that situation, like,
Why can't you?
yeah, don't complain because you have to do a little plumbing, you know.
No, and that's the thing. Like with remodeling, today it was heavy on my heart. Like last night we were putting in cabinets. My mentality is drill, baby, drill, and go till it's finished. I don't care if I get no sleep. But my buddy was like, look, so we get the top cabinets in. We rip
You
all
do
the
start
top
messing
off.
things out when you're in a rush at the end.
Well, that's the thing is like, I don't want to rush it. I just want to finish it. And I don't care what it takes to finish it. So that's me. But, today it really we didn't finish. My buddy was like, hey, while you're gone on your trip that I'm leaving for tomorrow, he was like, when you're listening to it, I'll be on an airplane. But he was like, why don't we?
Don't know when I'll be back again. Do.
Yeah. But he was like, we don't need to rush it. He was like, while you're gone, I'll come over. He's like, give me a key. I'll look at all the plumbing for the undersink, the line into the wall, or the line into the dishwasher, all this and that. I'll have a game plan and we'll tackle it. By the way, Carl Frey is one of my dear friends, best friends. Like, he's just always there and like helps me out.
Is that Jackson's cousin? Jackson's cousin?
Jackson's cousin?
Yeah, Jackson Frey, Carl Frey.
Oh, I thought about that in the past, actually. I was like, I wonder, but I don't think so because he would say something and it's spelled the same way. But, so I said, okay, we'll be done for tonight. I'll settle for just the top. We'll knock it out Monday when I get back from my trip. And today, it really weighed heavy on my heart. And I was like, God is teaching me my patience. He's giving me more patience. He's making me understand. And I was like, I'm okay with this. It's like finding the positives. Like, I'm the person, me. And if you don't know me, I'm the person that needs more patience. That's one of my flaws. Like, I need more patience myself. And that's the light in the darkness of doing all this remodel. It's always patience, it's understanding, it's learning. It's like, there's these things, even if it's not like a physical type deal.
You are a bit of a nervous Nelly about things.
I am indeed. But
we all have our uniquenesses.
I'm definitely an overthinker, and the longer I have to wait for things, I worry. It's my biggest flaw. Overthinking is my biggest flaw. But that's okay. I'm growing and learning and growing myself every day. So I don't care.
My biggest flaw is procrastination.
Is it?
But I excel at it. Since I was a little kid, I'd put things off, and then crush it. So then it became a bad habit. Yeah.
I'm kind of bad about procrastination. I'm not awful. That's not my biggest flaw. My biggest flaw is definitely worrying and overthinking. And that comes from patience.
Oh, another flaw. When I have something that really needs done that should take priority, I'll find other things to do instead that makes me feel busy and doing, but like, it could have waited.
That's a bad excuse.
I just told you it was a bad.
I know. I'm just saying. I was just saying it out loud. I'm like,
it's not an excuse. I'm not like, I can't do this because I'm doing this. No. I'm feeling productive so that it doesn't make me bother about not. And like I said, it's a bad side. It's not a quality I appreciate about myself.
No, that's fair. So yeah, man, it's I'm excited though. The wife and I are gonna go get away for like 5 days. Bless her heart. She's a nervous Nelly too. Not a nervous Nelly. My
people always say people always say opposites attract, but I find it more often than not, like very
Deep
similar
down,
people
yes.
really find each other and like get super comfortable with each other, which is a blessing and a curse because you can understand each other more. But man, it's hard in a relationship when you both have the same strengths and weaknesses.
Yeah.
It's nice when people can pick up each other's slack, and you have to regardless when you're in
Yeah.
a serious relationship. But yeah, I think at least me and my wife are, way more similar than we are different. So there's definitely
Same.
things that's like she'll be like, I hate doing that. I'm like, yeah, I hate doing that too. So I don't know who's gonna do it.
Yeah, no, 100%. But I think that's the beauty in life. And my wife, she definitely picks me up where I fall short. But then, like, I was talking to her last night, and I'm not airing out laundry, but she was just in a bad mood, and I picked up on it, and I was like, "What's wrong?" I was like, "What's going on?" She was like, the dogs, the this, that. She's like, work. Her job is high stress work. She works with. Why did I get so bright all of a sudden?
Shining the spotlight on you.
Bald dome, that white skin. I got turned down. Make me orange man. But and she was like, just all this remodeling, and I was like, I get it. I was like, I really do. I was like, I understand. I was like, I'm ready to be done with it too. She was like, and we're just about to put our house on sale. And how long is it going to take? And it's like, I was like, when you feel those moments, I told her, I was like, just pray about it. I was like, just pray about it and just turn it over. And, we'll get to it when we get to it, and we're on God's time. And it's like living. You said making the most out of time. We're on borrowed time our whole life. So if you're borrowing time, if you're borrowing money, you're going to make the most of it. Your life is more than money. So why aren't you
I think when
going
you
to make
earn the money, you make more of it than when you borrow it.
Yeah, but still, people put money on a pedestal more so than their life. So why aren't you going to put your life on a higher pedestal than money? If you're borrowing money and your life is on borrowed time is way more important, because guess what? You can just bankrupt your borrowed money if you have to. You can't bankrupt your life.
As long as it's not school loans.
Mm.
And people argue about that. But I mean, that's valid, because as much as the problem with every other loan is they can repossess the thing that you purchased. School loans, you can't take knowledge back. You can take a degree back after you graduate. Degrees really rarely matter. It's the knowledge that mattered. So it's like, I understand why you can't. I'm not for like the loan forgiveness and stuff. What I am for is that there should be capped limits on how much people should have to pay in interest. Because if you pay your
100%.
loan over 3 times, you shouldn't still owe your loan.
No.
So I think there's definitely things that can be fixed in this system without throwing it out. But
100%.
that's for another time and day.
Oh,
you
yeah.
know
We
the
can get
way
into
my
that.
you know the way my brain works. Though I hear something,
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
like, it's gross.
But, oh, dude, I'm really excited for this trip, though. Like,
Yeah, I'm stoked for you.
man.
Where you guys at?
Mexico Beach, Florida.
Nice.
Yep.
I've never been to Mexico Beach, I don't think.
Probably not. Small. It's kind of at the curvature of the Gulf right there at the Panhandle. And Port St. Joe has a horn that comes down, and super rad place. Yeah. Anyone that listening, I'm going to be heading towards Florida by the time you're listening. And we're going to be fishing an offshore tournament. So fingers crossed to come home with some money.
What's the tournament for?
So it's kingfish, Spanish mackerel. They have a bunch of side pots like wahoo, snapper, stuff like that. So,
how many boats will be out, you think?
Over 200.
Oh, that's solid.
Yeah.
So who's all gonna be on yours?
Natalie's dad is coming, and one of his buddies.
Yeah,
So
that's cool. When you originally told me about the tournament that you're going to be in a few weeks ago, I assumed you were doing it with your dad.
I wish. No, my dad's going to be on. I invited him.
Mm-hmm.
My dad's going to be in Honduras on mission work
Oh,
for Living Hope. Living Hope is a school in Honduras. If you don't know, Honduras is the third poorest country in the world. And it's actually where the Sound of Freedom, where they went and rescued all those kids at the end of Sound of Freedom. It was a story about a man that rescued kids out of Honduras. And so this school down there, he's on the board for this. And what's really cool is that, Living Hope brings these kids in because basically, like, my dad called me the first time he was down there and he was in tears. He was like, "Oh, dude, their grandparents are selling kids for money." And like, he's like, "It's awful." And we were talking, and Natalie and I have agreed.
I don't want to cut you off, but if people want like a little insight into that world, which isn't a pretty world to get in for your mentality, but we did have that episode, at the beginning of last year.
Tether group.
Yeah, with the Tether group. And I think that was a worthwhile listen, even though it was a hard listen.
Yeah, 100%. But the most gratifying things that are being done in this world are the hardest ones to listen to. So if you're here now and you haven't, I highly recommend you going back to listen to Tether Group. It's one of our first, I think it's in the first 20 episodes.
Yeah, it's early, so it might be a little more janky, but that's
yeah,
all right.
But it's still about the story. It's not about the quality, right? The quality of the story is money. But anyways, so my dad was like, as soon as he got down there, he met this kid and he was going through the interview process, and he was like, "I got to sponsor this kid. I just feel it in my heart, in my bones." And he sponsored this kid, and he met another kid he really wanted to sponsor. And he was like, I really want to sponsor this kid. Would y'all want to sponsor him? And I was like, yeah. He goes, "Do you want to sponsor him for a year, or do you want to sponsor him through school?" I said, "Through school." So Natalie and I made an agreement. Every year, I think it's like $300 and something. It gets their books and everything and all that covered. It's not exponential. And if you're interested, I'm not trying to put a plug in here, but if you're interested in it, reach out to me on the Rowdy Ones page or my personal page. Changing people's lives.
Do you have like contact with that kid and stuff too? Or?
I get to hear from him every year. I get his reports at the end of the year, how he did. The kid we sponsored didn't. I'm
sure you have to grow a bond to them, even if you've never met them.
Oh, you do. You're changing someone's life.
Yeah, you get invested in their success.
Yeah, and his dad came to the school last year when Dad went, and just like gave him a big hug and was like, "I can't tell you how much it means that your son and daughter-in-law are doing this." And it was an amazing thing. And it's like good.
And
changing lives.
It's not that $300 is nothing, but it's like a cart of groceries for us anymore. And it is something that can literally change the whole course of their life.
Yeah, and this kid, I'm not gonna say his name, but he
say his first name.
Carlos.
Yeah, I need to. I like to have a name to think about.
Yeah, Carlos is gonna be. He wants to be an engineer. He didn't miss a day of school. He had an A average, and and the school.
How old is he now? Ish. 6, 15,
13, 14.
Okay.
So, it's like, it's exciting. Like, this kid is because you either fall into a life of crime there, family sells you, or you go to school. that's like the route there. That's the reality.
There's
Sadly,
there's a few other courses, you know,
there is, but
working
it's
really
slim.
hard on a family, you know,
Yeah.
whatever.
Yes, but it's very few and far between.
Yeah.
Because it's so hard up. But anyway, so yeah, sorry for that tangent. Really excited. My dad is actually, I invited Dad, and he was like, "Oh, I'm flying out to Honduras." He flies out Thursday or Friday. So, Dad didn't get to come to the tourney.
Right.
Yeah, no, he's doing life-changing stuff. So
you guys will get your fishing time in, you know.
Oh,
You've
more
had
than
plenty, and there's more than plenty to come. So
yeah. So he was like, he's like, I really want to, but I'm going down for.
especially once you move to the coast, man, you'll get lots of dad time.
Oh yeah,
That's what I'm most excited about for you. And I do want to give people a little inside baseball for us. I know a lot of podcasts do it differently, but I talk to Hal pretty much daily. Sometimes,
every day.
sometimes 20 times a day. It's like, sometimes Hal will call me and then not even have anything to say. Just gives you some. I don't know why I called.
I love talking to you. I just love talking to you.
We talk a lot, but one thing we don't do is ever talk about what we're going to talk about on podcasts. So if we have guests, we don't, pre-talk about questions. When we have these loan episodes, like I might give Hal some like a 2-minute background on a player he doesn't know that was like an older player that was that it wasn't around when he was. Outside of that, that's the farthest that our research goes into topics. I haven't had to really research people outside of the Tether group when they came on. A few other guests that Hal's had on that I've loved having the conversations with the people that I wasn't familiar with. Because we have mostly paintball guests, I am pretty familiar with things, so I don't need to research that. Yeah. But when we have these episodes, we don't even say, hey, let's cover, these topics, right? Like we just get on and talk because I think that's the most natural way that we can do it. So sometimes, you'll get tangents. Sometimes you'll get a little meandering. Sometimes
Ryan giving me crap.
Well, that you'll get that regardless. So, but you get those things because, we don't discuss it because we want it to be like a normal conversation. Natural. Like you're sitting here with us talking so that you can see, the true side of our guests and the true side of us, the way we think, what we think about, how we break things down, how we problem solve. By no means am I saying that's the way that you should do things, but I think it's good to, if you want to know someone or understand them, to know the way their brain works. So that's the way we do that. With that said, we also do a lot of brainstorming on things we can do. If we could put out episodes, where we could have live episodes and have some question and answer type sections in them. And I'll put you on the spot now. How give me an off the wall idea for a podcast episode.
Man, I love stories, and I love wild, rowdy, just unfiltered, raw stories. Because I feel like a lot of podcasts do have a script. It's like you touched on, and I just want to sit down and talk about skydiving and base jumping, and people that don't know, I was a hunting and fishing guide, I've got all these stories to tell, and we sit here and we talk about things, and there's
so story-based episodes.
I love the story-based episodes, and I think that's what I appreciate most.
All of our episodes are story-based.
I know,
it dictated, we have nothing to get out of this except I want to tell this story and see where it goes. Is that what you're talking about?
No.
Oh, okay.
No, just whatever pops into the mind.
Well, that's our normal episode. I was saying, give me an off the wall for a random episode. If we do a quarterly episode like this, I want a new idea. How? That's how the
I don't know. Works. I don't know. I know how brainstorming is. Thanks, Ryan. Thanks.
Okay, I'll give you mine, and it's cheating because I thought of it today while I was. Yeah, I know. That's how things work. That's why you got put on the spot, and I get a pre-prepared answer.
Comment BS if you're here.
No, but I was talking to this lady I work with today, and she was asking me about some of my travels, and I was showing her some pictures. And my episode does rely on how improving his producer skills. He's a great producer for this podcast. I don't run anything behind the scenes, but I know you want to start being able to put some things on screen during times. We want to show things off. If we ever have episodes where, Hal had a great idea for episodes. So if anyone else does this, they're stealing our idea. We will eventually start doing this. But post events, he wanted to have an episode that had both a player from the winning team and the losing team come on the episode. Yeah, of the finals, of course. That's the losing team. Everyone else was just irrelevant.
I was just saying finals. Calm down.
I'm just saying all the other teams are irrelevant. There's a team that wins and a team that loses, and then all the teams that shouldn't even have showed up, right? That's how I look at things. But you wanted to have a player from both those teams and kind of break down the game and talk about the emotions before, during, and after the match. And I think it's a great idea. My pushback, as I always play a little bit of devil's advocate, is it's not always easy to get someone to agree to coming on as after losing an event. It's hard to rehash that for some people, but we will make that happen because I think it's worthwhile. I think it would be good content that people would appreciate. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. If I'm wrong, it was Hal's idea, but but I thought that was great. But either way, for that, you'll have to learn how to, put things up on the screen, do a little bit of telestrating, things of that nature. And you'd also need that for my idea. So when I was talking to this lady today at work and showing her some pictures, I thought it, goes back to your thing, telling stories. Yeah. But to tell a story, you have to remember a story. You remember highlights, and then you think about more when you get, refreshers. So I thought it'd be cool to have an episode where we throw, we'll have a Hal episode. You throw 100 pictures up from not like your favorite pictures, but pictures from, different times in your life, different places you've been, maybe not 100, maybe 10, maybe 20. And we'll throw the picture up and see if that picture leads to a story. And then go back, because it could not lead to a story. You could just be like, oh, that's cool. That's from 15 years ago. We were here. This place is this, whatever. Next picture. The next picture might lead into a story or two stories. And, we could have a you episode, me episode. We could have guest episodes like that. And those would be more pre-planned as far as we have a basis of what we're doing. We're putting pictures up. We're doing that. But it's really just to spur the imagination, right? I wouldn't even tell people necessarily if we had guests. I would probably just, go through their old Instagram, be a creep, or go through their Instagram, Facebook pages from 10, 20 years ago and pick out pictures ourselves and have them on. And then let's have them run through it. Because, some of the best times are when you're with your boys or, your family, and you throw up some old pictures and you just talk about times. I know I didn't go to it, but I was pretty pooped after Chad's wedding, but a bunch of people went back to his house after the next day, after they, went out during the day, and they were just sitting in his basement, and he threw his phone, shared it to the television and was going through and talking about different pictures and, letting people get a bigger glimpse into it. And that, intrigued me. And then when I was, talking to this lady today at work, it gave me the idea that I think it would make a pretty cool podcast episode.
No, it would. And if you go,
make sure you comment BS, I guess. Jeez.
Yep, comment BS. But I do think
but that's more effort on you, because I'm not doing any of that producing.
No, that's fine. I can do it. I'll figure it out. I'll do it. I love it. I love it because
I got my feet up on my desk. I can't even reach my mouse.
I know your camera's shaking. I know Ryan's got his feet up because his camera kind of shakes. Now everybody has a little insight, but sometimes you get a glimpse of the Tootsies and you're like, ah. No, I love that. And it's I'm thinking about some pictures on my personal Instagram where I'm hanging off the skid of Bell Ranger helicopter. Mm-hmm. And that was a 4th of July boogie. And what was really cool is my buddy Nathan Roth, shout out Nathan, YTC, Young Thundercat, we it's things and when I'm about to jump off a hot air balloon and I do a backflip off of it. I have wild story. Dude, I got to tell you this story. You know, first one, the helicopter is I told my buddy Nathan, I'm like, you ever done a helicopter jump? He's like, no. It was like $85 a pop for 4,000 feet. And which is like not high at all. And I was like, yeah, no, we pull it like 3,000, 3,500 feet.
Yeah, like if you jump from 14,000 feet as like, a tandem jump, you're getting 60 seconds of free fall. If you jump from 10,000 feet, you're getting 30 seconds. So it's not linear completely,
No. And what's funny is like off the helo jump, I looked at Nathan. He's like, no, but I ain't paying that. I said his birthday was coming up and I go, happy birthday. I said, I'm going to go get us on a load and we're going to go jump the helo. We're flying up and having fun.
And
I crawl out. What's that?
That's cheap as dirt to do that.
Yeah. Well, when you have your own license and you're only paying $20-$25 a jump, not really. Wow. So, and then a hop and pop, which is at 4,500 feet, is only like $13 at the time, right?
Yeah.
So it's like we're paying
a helicopter pilot there. It's a different situation. Like,
and so what was funny was, so we go up and I'm climbing out of the helo. By the way, if anybody knows, I'm terrified of heights. I am physically terrified of heights. I hate climbing on ladders.
You can't say that in base jump.
Yes, you can. Yes, you can.
When you're stressed out and you go out and jump off of a mountain to relieve yourself and calm yourself, you cannot say you're afraid of heights.
Don't be broadcasting mine.
I wasn't saying that that's what you did anytime recently.
Flip it. But anyways, no, I'm terrified of heights, everybody. I'm like horrified of heights. I hate getting on top of a building. Adrenaline's fun. I used to.
So what made you start wanting to jump if you're afraid of heights? Because I love heights. Like they don't give me that nervous shivers. They don't give me sweaty hands. Like I love being near edges of things. I love being on the edge of it. I love looking down. I love feeling that like if someone pushed me, I'd be off. Like that to me is like that's a calming feeling. Like because I know I have to be in complete control. I can't mess up. Like as a dumb kid, like I grew up in a different age. I was born in '85. I played BB gun wars before I was 10. We tried not to shoot at each other's heads, but like growing up through high school and stuff, honestly, after my wife now, but we were just friends way before we ever got serious, and before we both went our different ways before we came back together. But like we'd go out and we would free climb, we would free solo things, and nothing huge, but 60, 80 feet, like enough where I'm not trying to fall. But like that was like I mean I definitely wouldn't be living as happily of a life after. But like I love that feeling. I love knowing that like a mistake will cost me, that I have to be in complete control. It's a lot like paintball in the way that like you hear a lot of players talk about paintball is so relaxing because you have no time to focus on any of the auxiliary bullshit, right? Like I don't care how many problems you have in life, when you're on the field playing, you can't think about that other stuff.
It's only
and that's how and that's how I feel like doing things like free soloing and stuff, which obviously in my days I'm no Alex Honnold, right? Like I'm doing easy routes, I'm doing things that I can easily handle. And everyone says that, I'm sure, but like I never put myself in situations where I felt personally compromised. But even never doing that, I can't even do what I was doing now that I'm a dad, right? And like in a lot of ways that's why I waited to become a parent, because I wanted to live not carelessly, but I just wanted to
for
live
yourself.
I just wanted to live a little bit recklessly until I was ready to not.
And it's weird, the people at my work think I'm a flat out liar because they've seen me with heights, and I'm like, no, you don't understand. If I have a parachute, if I have a canopy on my back and a rig on my back, I'm good.
Is the
Kind of.
jumping part hard for you? Because obviously the
No.
looking part's hard.
Yeah, I get like 20 feet to the edge, and I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm like, Daddy don't like it.
It's crazy for me. The jumping part's the hardest. You know, I've done a lot
You
of it.
count down, you go.
No. I've never
3,
had a
2,
problem.
1, see ya.
I've jumped out of some
You're
planes.
leaving.
Jumped out of some planes. Never had a problem with that. But like I've also done some pretty high cliff diving in my days. And like if I was doing like a 60, 65-foot jump, like the jumping part was always the scariest part for me. I didn't care about standing up there. Didn't care once I jumped, but there was always the hesitancy of the jumping. But that was more, I guess, because like obviously, you could slip, hit stuff on the way down. Some of the jumps were a little sketchy. But that was always, and like, you're jumping from that high, like you land wrong, you could not be feeling great. But like I never had problems jumping from a plane, but just as someone afraid of heights, I would assume that would have been the worst.
A plane is not hard. And there was a psyche guy that used to jump, and he talked to me, and I'm like, I don't have this. He goes, yeah, you don't. Your brain registers A to B.
Yeah.
A is really high, B is at the ground. Over X amount of feet, your brain stops registering how high you are.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, there's no connect. And he was like, there's no connecting point. So it's easy for you. And your adrenaline's kicked in, and you're good. I've climbed out of planes, hung off struts. Like, I've done all these kinds of exits off plane, and it's fine. And base jumping is totally different because you really you have that connecting point.
But you also have to like be in instant action for base jumping.
You just got to have your shit together and be good.
I've only gone a few times. It was skydiving, not base jumping, not wingsuiting, nothing.
Hey, I got a homie called Sean Chuma. He'll take you on a tandem.
Yeah, I'll be down.
Yeah, go out to Idaho and see him.
Britt might kill me, but
Sean Chuma, we're coming to you. You'll take my boy.
I'd love to.
He's the guy that innovated tandem base jumps. It's in Idaho off the Prime Bridge.
I do not like not being in control. I would be afraid.
Sean's a beast.
I get it.
He just got back from
he just finished. You know as well as I
know.
do, a lot of beasts die base jumping.
Oh yeah.
A lot.
But it's PCA off the bridge.
I feel fine about that.
Yeah,
I wouldn't like doing anything with a hard wall or
no, like with antennas or wires, wires or anything like that. No. It's a free span bridge, so there's no pillars or nothing. It's over the.
I would love to do an arch in Utah too.
I got some people out there too.
Yeah.
But they start doing it after Chuma. Chuma's the shit, dude.
Yeah,
Chuma is.
Not be down. For people, you have obviously all the experience in it. I have almost none, but all I can tell you is how I felt when I went. And like I said, like jumping, no problem. Heights don't bother me. What I wasn't expecting the very first time I went skydiving, for people that haven't gone, is while you're free falling, how peaceful it is.
Oh, dude.
Because literally there's the split second of like disorientation as you're
you're coming off the hill out of the plane. It's called the hill because you don't have terminal velocity yet.
Yeah, exactly.
So when you leave the plane's going like 127,
and you're rotating. And
when you leave, but the forward momentum hits you, but you don't.
Because you're still traveling at the speed the plane was going. That's
And so what happens is you come off. It's called the hill, and it comes like this. It's an arch.
Yeah.
And as a tandem, you toss a drogue.
Yeah.
It brings you to stability.
So you're slightly discombobulated for that. But then, like, you hit terminal velocity, and I'm old now, so I don't remember the exact math, but 8-9 seconds, I assume.
5-6.
For anyone that knows, it doesn't matter as long as the wind resistance doesn't matter the weight, anything, a penny's going to hit terminal velocity at the same time I am. But either way, you're hitting terminal velocity in that time. In that time, like, you feel the acceleration. And that's a little more like adrenaline inducing at least. But then you're a few seconds in, and as soon as you hit terminal velocity, it is the most peaceful thing I've ever done.
Because you're going 120.
You're going 120, but your senses tell you you're floating, right?
Yeah.
Because when you're not accelerating or decelerating, you're sitting neutral. and
Yep.
neutral is floating, right? So it doesn't matter if you're falling, you're sitting completely neutral. For anyone who's done like, I've done like float tanks a lot for recovery and stuff like that. And when you learn to like really relax your neck and just like take it in, like you're not doing anything, you're just floating into a
Yep.
void. And that's kind of how skydiving is, with just like earth coming closer to you, getting that perspective coming closer. But that was something like that really blew my mind, because no one ever told me that before I went, right? Like
Yeah.
I thought it was going to be a much different feeling. And then I did it and I was like, wow, that was like just so relaxing.
Oh, dude, it's so dope. So peaceful. It's like you're floating on a big yoga ball of air, is all it is. You know, so you asked two questions, or you asked one question, and then I'm going to finish the story about the heli jump with Nathan. And I have pictures on my Instagram, Facebook, and I'm just like hanging off a skid, and I have pictures where I'm like wrapped up on the skid, getting ready to go vertical with it. And as I'm climbing out, I'm like, oh shit. I'm like, don't fall. Don't fall. I'm like, I got a parachute on. And I was just like, after that, I was just like jungle gym. We did a couple pull-ups, and I was like, all right, you good? And he's like, yeah, we're good. And I'm yelling 3, 2, 1, and we drop. And out of a helo, it's different. It's like a base jump because it's hovering. There's no forward momentum to create the hill. And I just start in the video. I hope I can find it. I start swimming. I'm like grabbing for air.
Was it reaching for anything?
Oh, dude, yeah. I was like, I need air. And so what's funny is my buddy Nathan and I, before the jump, he's like, should we turn on our AADs? Which AAD is an automatic activation device. If you pull late, if you get knocked out, something happens in the air.
And that's a elevation release kind of situation, or how's that?
So an AAD is this little thing, and it has basically a primer in it, and it goes pow, and it, as soon as it goes bang, it cuts the cord that holds your pin in, that's holding your reserve. Your reserve is made to open fast, hard, and straight. So the AED kicks on, I want to say at 15 to 1,300 feet, and then it activates, and it actually goes at 1,000. So you're low. You're like dirty low at that point. And so he's like, should we turn our AEDs on? And I was like, absolutely not. Do not turn that on. And so I was like, hey, you want to go? I was like, you want to go?
What's the reason for not having it on?
Just because we're already low.
Yeah, so the time to do it. And
yeah, I was just like, we're already low. Don't worry about it.
You're probably not pulling till about then anyway. So if that pulls like as you're pulling, that
yeah,
kind of
if we accidentally took it low, I didn't want it to go off.
Yeah.
Because it's called a soft opening or a snivel. If your canopy snivels, and I've had openings where it took 1,500 feet to fully activate. If your main canopy snivels, that thing can still go off.
Yeah.
And then now you have two canopies out, and that's how a bad situation happens.
How many shoots have you had to cut? Any? That's impressive.
I always pack my own, baby.
I'm sure you had at least a tangle or two that was a little scary.
Oh, I've had line twists and all kinds of stuff where I'm like, oh, good Lord. But it's in a flat spin. I'm now vertical because it's gaining momentum, it's spinning, and I'm like grabbing the risers, pulling them apart, trying to kick out of them. No, I did have moments where you're like, oh, but you have a hard deck. Should I? Yeah, well, I have a hard deck. I always had an audible altimeter in my ear, in my helmet.
Oh, that's cool.
And so I had different settings of beeps for when, like, this is break off beep. This is deploy beep. This is your hard deck. Decide if you can land it or not, and I had those.
What's the worst dead spin you ever been in? Or have you ever been in one?
Flat. I was in a flat spin.
I don't know what they're called, but yeah.
Yeah, flat spin.
Explain to people what they are, because from what my understanding of, they're pretty terrifying. For me, it was I would just die of nauseousness. I can't spin.
Yeah, so I had mine in a wingsuit. So with a
I told you
with
that.
the
I told you that alert was always you.
yeah, it's me. I had a super bad flat spin. The worst flat spin I ever had was in a wingsuit. This chick was like, "Hey, I want to do a rodeo." Rodeo is like where you're on a wingsuit. Someone holds onto your back, holds onto your harness, and they were like, we leave. And you have to leave like straight up. You can't leave a
You got to
little
be
cockeyed
one.
because
You got to be one.
you have to be airstream with it. You have to be streamlined. And so flat spin is where you just sit and spin and you can't get out of it.
Like ripping too, like revolutions per minute. Your RPMs are out of control.
Just wait. So she got a little off and she just put me in a flat spin right out the door. And I was like, all right. I was like, this is it. It threw her off almost instantly. It was so bad. And we're just ripping this flat. I'm ripping this flat spin.
Was she in one
When I
too,
got to the,
or did she kind of like?
No, it threw her off. So she was in free fall. And then I get it under control. If you don't know what a wingsuit is,
are you like just like pulling like one layer?
Nope, you bring everything in. With the wingsuit, you have to close everything.
Nothing, no resistance to the air, as little as possible, so that it can't keep turning you. Is that
and then once you get to this position, like you have to start like counter manipulating what's going on, and not doing too much. So it's like a little elbow out because you have all this fabric.
The opposite one of what it should be, and you're just trying to catch a little the opposite.
So I was flat spinning right, so I was working the left side of my body, my elbow. And I get it under control. I'm good. As soon as I got it out of control, I was the last one out the door, so I know no one's above me. And I just dump. If you don't know what a wingsuit is, it is basically a straitjacket. You can't bring your arms past here. Yeah, with a lot of fabric. But you can't bring your arms like past here. So, like, as soon as you deploy, you have to unzip and do all this stuff.
I think it's the coolest thing ever. You do that, or you've done that for a long time, because, as a kid, I remember seeing when they first came out, watching videos on it.
Yeah, like, the Birdman. That was the name of the suit, Birdmans.
Yeah. And
those are the first wingsuits.
You can get ripping on them. They're talking about how far you can land without it, and it's just flying, man. If you're a little boy growing up liking superheroes, like nothing.
Oh yeah.
If nothing you want more than the feeling of flying. And I remember always wanting that. And I remember reading about it years later, like people trying to land those without chutes, like on the side of mountains and stuff.
Yeah.
No one lived doing it, but I know a bunch of people had attempted that. I don't know if anyone's been successful at that. I know someone landed one in a foam pit.
In a cardboard boxes.
Okay.
Bunch of cardboard boxes.
It's crazy.
Yeah, that's not really landing though, because something softened your impact. But
that's controlled crashing.
Yeah, that's controlled chaos is all that is. But he was accurate, which is what counts. So anyways, I get to the ground and I land way off the drop zone. I'm nowhere close. And I get a ride and everyone comes and picks me up and they're like, "Hey, you okay?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm good. I'm shaking." Like I normally don't shake after jumps at this point, because that was like I don't know, like 400 or 500 jumps, 300 plus. I'll go 300 plus. I'll give the caveat.
Easily, probably before you were wingsuiting.
Oh, no, I was wingsuiting.
I know, but I'm saying you have to have a lot of jumps before you can even do that now.
Yeah, it's like 300, I think, something like that. But they said, "Dude, there's no white in your eye." My eyes were bloodshot. I was turning so much centrifugal G-force. It had blown the blood vessels out of my eyes.
Did I speak of that? Just reminded me when I was back in the Philly days. Had this one good friend, Justin Zaborowski, used to come and pit for us. Never played paintball, but every time he would throw up, his eyes would completely do that. He'd burst all the blood vessels in his eyes.
Mine don't. Dude, it takes a little more.
No, I know that, but I'm saying I know the exact look you're talking about.
Everyone's like, "Dude, you good?" And I was like, "I'm good." And they're like, "No, your eyes are shot." And I was on the ground, I was shaking. They're like, everyone's like, "Dude, just chill for the day.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I did go up on the last load of the day and go jump.
Just to get the nerves off of you.
Yeah, just shake everything off. I went on another wingsuit jump.
Did you were talking about feeling comfortable because you're like, oh, I have a chute. I don't have to worry coming out of that helicopter. It reminded me, I don't know if you saw the video from a couple weeks ago, that maybe a month ago, but I don't know if it was in Brazil or somewhere else in South America. This girl was like bungee jumping, right?
Yeah, they didn't hook her up.
They didn't have her hooked up. And I've never seen people bungee jump and throw someone off, but they had her horizontal and just like torpedo her off. No rope, no nothing.
That's wild.
Crazy.
Yeah, they got in a lot of trouble.
Well, they murdered her.
Yeah.
I mean,
technically manslaughter.
Yeah,
unintentional.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, they did kill somebody.
That's being generous, because there's at least a lot of fail safes that went wrong before you didn't have anyone double checking anything.
No crap. But so how I got started base jumping, you asked me that. Or no, skydiving. I am named after my grandfather, who I never got to meet. His name was Hal, and that was my mom's dad. My mom was supposed to go skydiving with her dad 2 days after their wedding. My mom and dad didn't have a lot of money. They were going to do one night at Stockyards and come back. Well, my grandpa Hal passed away from a heart attack. Sorry.
I had 2 emotional episodes right in a row.
I know, in a row. But he passed away from a heart attack. They had to call their night short. They went back home, and they named me after my grandfather. Well, my mom never got to go skydiving, and she always wanted to go. So I booked for my mom's birthday. I booked her skydive. She's like, oh, I don't want to do it alone. I was like, you're not. I'm going with you. And we, so we went and made a jump. And while I was in the air, I loved it so much. I was talking to my tandem instructor, and I was like, what do I do to do this by myself, dude? And after that, it was in the books. So
that's how I felt the first time I went. And then we opened the chute, and then he gave me control. And then I spun too much, and I was fine the whole time in the air. And then as soon as I hit the ground and I was sick for the rest of the day, I was like, I could not do this very often to be fun.
Oh, man. So, yeah, that's how I got hooked.
We're going to cut this episode short. I know you got to leave early in the morning and stuff, but remind me sometime. I do got to tell the story of, when I first got in Australia, because it was pretty cool with like.
Did you go Gold Coast?
We were up above that. We were in Cairns, so we were over the Great Barrier Reef when we did it. But
did you jump over the ocean?
Mm-hmm.
People don't understand prevailing winds. You jump over the ocean and the winds take you back inland.
So I'll give a brief.
Give it.
So that's what happens. We jump over the ocean. It brings you back inland. We go. It's like me, Gator Glaze, Andy Kopchak, Gib Gillen, Jason Trozen, and Tim Montresor, and Fatty. So we had a good crew there. We were playing for Infamous down there, 2005, dominated. Well, we were like, oh, we're all going to go skydiving. We go there. Never had tried to go before, have wanted to go, but never really looked into it. Assumed that there was some training or something. And I know it's tandem and it's simple, but whatever. Yeah. We literally go there. We pay our $70 or whatever it was at the time, 170. It was cheap, but whatever it was cheap. And it was Australian money. I think it was like 140, but it worked out to like 70 American probably.
Yeah.
And they basically just pointed a sign and they're like, do that. And it was just like how you arch and how you do that. And like, that was it. Right. And then we had too many people to all go on one plane. So we were split up into 2 groups. And I forget who was in. There's 2 of us. There 2 of them were in the first plane with like a bunch of randos. And mind you, this plane was like painted like a shark, was pretty rusty. They're all like gutted out inside. So you're just like sitting on the floor on your butt, like strapped to a dude with like 6 other dudes in front of you, and you're just scooting forward to get out. But I look at this plane and I was like, oh, that's sketchy. I want to jump out of that. Like, it was sweet. But like, you know, the most of us were on the second plane. So we went to the landing zone, right? And we're watching the first person jump out. We were all jumped from 14,000 feet. Watch the first person jump out. They're going, and then all of a sudden you see their chute just float away. And then they're just falling. Yeah. And then, yeah, but like I said, from the ground, we're, you know, thousands of feet below. I don't see exactly what's happening. You just see that, and you see them just so cruising, pull the reserve. They land in a field like, I don't know, a mile away, somewhere far away. They have to get bus back. I was so jealous because I was
got 2 rides.
Well, it's not 2 rides. It's like,
no, it is. That's what we called it.
It's 2 rides, but they got the feeling of death, right? Like the uncertainty of it. Like that's a good feeling. It's like, oh, if this next one, like there's no guarantee your reserve's gonna work or things are gonna work out right at that point in time. And I assume reserves with tandems are a little sketchier just because of the weight. I could be wrong.
Well, you have an RSL, which is a reserve static line. So as soon as you cut away, it's pulling out your reserve.
Okay. Yeah,
so there's a lot of safety.
Yeah. So I was super jealous of that situation and kind of disappointed the whole time I was going. I was like, well, my story's not going to be this good. You know, the dude I was standing with had jumped like 13,000 times, you know, base jumps, wingsuit, did all that too. And he's like, honestly, he's like, I've never had to cut. It's like, it doesn't happen very. Because I asked him, I was like, how often does that happen? He's like, not very often.
You're probably like, hey, can you cut this away for me?
No. I didn't want to be on purpose. Only if it was on accident, you know. You don't want to test your luck like that, but you do want to experience. Like everything was fine in the end. So I was jealous that they got to experience that. It ended up being none of us. It ended up being just one of the randos, but pretty crazy situation. And but it was cool because, like, you know, everyone else on our plane now was down at that landing zone before they picked us up and go, and like everyone else was pretty nervous about the situation. To me, you know, my brain works in statistics, so I was like, we're fine. Like, to me, I felt safer. Everyone else felt like way sketched out.
That
like
one's out of the way. We're
like,
good.
People were talking about like backing out and stuff. I was like, you get crazy. It was the safest time to do it.
Yeah, your odds are the best right now. So get after it. No, but do you want my hot air balloon story now or after?
No, after. Let's run it. We were planning on doing a super short episode.
We're
doubled it. So.
All right. Well, you'll get to hear this story in an after episode. By the way, for people that don't know, I'm going to do it now. Ryan's going to be like, give me the grunge face. We're going to start a Patreon. We're going to have some backstage episodes and stuff coming up.
We're not starting that yet. We're saving up until we have.
We're saving. You're right. But we are going to have a Patreon. We are going to put these episodes in there.
I did not tell you could say this.
Nope, you didn't. But now you know what? We going to get it. But we also are going to, in the future, we are going to start doing merch, whiskey glasses, pint glasses, coffee mugs, shirts, things like that. So be on the lookout. If, Brian probably hates me right now. So
no more.
A little more, but I can handle that. But anyways, thank y'all for chiming in. We appreciate y'all, and we will catch y'all next week.
Well, the whiskey's low and the story's all done, but we sure had ourselves some fun. From tall tales told to the last good pun, you've been rolling with the rowdy ones. Thanks for listening, y'all.